Are you feeling stuck, lost, tired, or uninspired? We've all been there, including myself. I'm Coach Des, mindset motivator and lifestyle entrepreneur. I'm here to tell you that the best, unapologetic, and limitless version of yourself is yet to come. The Born Unbreakable podcast is here to inspire just that. With motivating guests from all different walks of life and around the world, their stories will empower you to unlock abundance and your unbreakable spirit. Do you need accountability? Reach out to me for a free consultation of how I can support you in reaching your maximum potential. This episode is brought to you by Korma Date Coffee, the healthy alternative to coffee. This delicious date coffee has the health benefits of giving you natural energy, antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and fiber. Best of all, Korma is caffeine-free, no jitters, no anxiety, and no afternoon crash. Go to kormacafe.com, that's KORMACAFE.com, and enter discount code Born Unbreakable at checkout to get 10% off your order. Hey, girl. Welcome to the Born Unbreakable podcast. I've just been having the best conversation with my guest, Anita Vita. Before I hit the record button, it's like we're kindred spirits. We could just talk for hours. But of course, she's here today to talk to you, not just me. So, the purpose of this podcast is to really create a safe space where we can do things like storytell, learn from each other, and really understand that life is dynamic. It's this dynamic place, and it's not a straight line. If there's anything that I've learned, and I can tell from learning a little bit about Anita's story, is that it is a big zigzag. There's twists and there's turns, and there's a lot of unexpected things that happen in life. And I like this podcast platform to be a place where you have that full permission to change your mind and to do different things and follow your heart and follow your intuition and not just do what everybody does because it's society's version of being, fitting in. And I think Anita's story is just such a good example of that. So just a little bit about my guest. She's got such a fascinating experience, which I'm going to let her share, but her background is in the nursing realm, doing leadership work. She's a medical Qigong practitioner, which I still have to practice saying that. And she really helps healthcare professionals to overcome stress and to achieve better balance, not just in their careers, but in their lives. And I think that's so important in this age of COVID and the pandemic. If there is one person at the front line that needs the balance, it's a nurse. So it's probably now more important than any. But Anita, thank you for being here and just sharing your story and your experience with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Des. And that intro, girl, fire. Thank you for that. It was so beautiful. Loved it.
Yeah. But, you and I just started talking even before we started this interview. And I would love for you to just start with your story, your personal story of how you got into the space of nursing and what it is that you're doing today.
Yeah, for sure. So my background is in adult care nursing. I was practicing nursing for 14 years. And when I wanted to transition out, and to be fully transparent, I was like, I'm done with this job. There has to be something better out there. Because at the time, I didn't know what burnout was. I don't know meditation. I don't know what power in pausing was. I was just so astute to the work. And I thought that's just how we were trained. And then fast forward to, maybe like 6 years into the hospital setting, I discovered I wanted something more. I think everybody has that voice inside of themselves when they're like, hey, there may be something better aligned to you. And if you're not listening, you start to probably get aches and pains. It starts with whatever it looks like for you. I'm going to just go down the list. Headaches, migraines, sciatica, that's a big one. Stomach ache, IBS. For me, it was IBS. irritable bowel syndrome. So that's a blanket diagnosis when you're experiencing all these things related to your gut, and doctors can't tell you like what the root cause was. So unbeknownst to me, I was already going through that, and it was getting worse. Then I started to get anxieties. So I thought for me to fix that, because we all want to fix things, is let me change positions. So I started in telemetry nursing, which is the cardiac floor. From there, I went into ICU. From ICU, because it started getting too cray cray for me, I went to the post op recovery room. So that's the area after surgery. I'm the person that you get to see, and I give you all the good drugs to, for pain. And then you wake up, the first time you like wake up and open your eyes, and I take care of you from there. Now, as I was waiting in the unit, I had some downtime. So when I transitioned to the recovery room, and it's a specialized tower where we really take care of patients who are post-op from cesarean section, just every, that for women's health, that was the sector I was in. So I had a bit of downtime, and I started to pick up a book, and a personal development book. So as I was searching and looking around, I had time now to, well, let me start reading again, because that was one of my first loves. I got lost in books. I learned to learned about adventure through them. I wasn't a very social person, and I'm more introverted than extroverted. So I found solace in books, and learning and knowledge was what really centered me and brought me a ton of joy. So I pick up this book by Robin Sharma called The Leader Who Had No Title. And it was the first time I felt like, whoa, my path could be clear. Like there's something else out there. And I was looking, and I was praying, and I was so stressed out. And so when I read it, I realized that, you could find joy in anything that you do. And that I think at the time I was limboing between, do I need to go back to school? Do I have to get my bachelor's, my master's, my PhD, my doctorate, etc.? That was my training. When you are in the medical field, you feel like that's all you need to do in order. You would think that those are the steps to open up doors for your next step in your career.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found was that wasn't so. And, I dabbled in multi-level marketing to kind of help me see it through. I think when you are wanting a different career path, you start venturing into potentially being in business for yourself,
Right.
which is a whole new personal development experience in and of itself anyway, and personal transformation if you decide to do it. And that actually assisted me. So while I didn't make a ton of money from it,
Mm-hmm.
it led me to what was possible in transforming who you were becoming and who you wanted to be. And so that soft whisper now became a loud voice. So on that day, and I don't recommend this for anybody. This is just what happened to me. But if you're in this moment listening to this, and this is what's going on, and you can't move forward, this may be something that will speak to you. So the way I did it was in the worst conditions possible. And really, I believe that the universe will grant and clear your path for you if you're not paying attention. So, and you're asking for those answers. So it was a day where we were super understaffed, and I didn't prioritize my self-care. I bet any nurse or anyone in healthcare listening to this, you will hold that time to go to lunch. You will sacrifice the time to like, let me just go to the restroom real quick, till you complete a task. I think it's a very masculine area. And that's one of the things that we are really great at, but to a fault sometimes, because we can keep giving until we're like depleted. And that started to mess with my health. So that day when I finally said like enough is enough, my husband helped me strategize He helped me create an exit strategy, because every time you say like, I'm going to quit, I'm done, I'm going to quit, I'm done, because you don't have a backup plan, right? Well, how am I going to feed my family? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to live? Those come up. So that fear factor just gets so high that you don't actually do it. And another year passes by and you're like, man, I'm still here. So the way it worked for me was I pre-wrote my resignation letter so that the signature section and the date was blank. And I kept it in my bag so that when I was ready, all I had to do was turn it in and make that decision. And so, again, under the worst conditions, I was understaffed. I didn't take breaks. We were transitioning as a hospital to be bought and changed administration. All of these things all the changes were happening all at once. Initiated new programs for moms and babies to now bond. So that added the babies in there. I'm not used to the crying baby noises. So I was like, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed, when they come and change up your space without helping you transition mentally, emotionally, and physically to prepare for that. It could be a lot. Mm-hmm. So once I demanded my break, the first thing I did was march over to my manager's office at the time. And I turned it in, and she had like this snarkiest look that you are replaceable.
Wow.
It was a look. She didn't say that. She didn't say that.
It's so crazy. Like, just thinking, listening to what you're saying, because I feel like there are many people who experience that feeling where they know that they've overstayed something longer than they've wanted to. You went so far as to actually have a resignation letter in your bag. I don't know how many people do that. But so you did that without having had like the next thing that you were going to do lined up.
That's right.
You?
Wow. I had zero backup.
Oh my God.
I will say that I'm grateful for a supportive husband, because if I did not have that support, I don't know how it would go. Just knowing myself, though, it would be my lesson to learn, like how to ask for your needs and what's important to you and your growth. But I'm really grateful because, excuse me, because he's been super supportive. Now, I didn't know my next thing at work. That was scary.
Yeah, you go in there and she's just like, okay, you're replaceable. And then it was over, like that interaction. She was just like, okay, you're going to leave. Like, that's fine.
Well, she was also a newer manager. And I think we already butt heads.
So it's not like you had this relationship where she was like your friend or something.
No.
So it was just.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I think if we had built that rapport, of course.
Okay, so then what did you do? Yeah, what did you do next to like get to the place of making a decision about what your new career was going to be?
Oh, well, like many nurses do, we do moonlight in other places. So I did have like a PRN position, an as needed position at a GI center. So, but it was like very hustle and bustle, and I didn't. I did that so I could get more money to pay for the wedding. I did one of those things like, let me get a second job. I'm getting married. And I'm over budget. So I got to find the money. We do it. We all do it. We're like, I have vacation. I have extra. I was like, what can we do? I fell into that that's part of the culture. Like, oh, let's just do extra. And I was like, oh, my bad, girls. Hold on. I had my timers on. That reminds me to breathe. That's my meditation timer. So that keeps me accountable to taking those pauses. So yeah, I had the GI center, and then I went went and explored, and I went clinic to clinic because there's so much out there. I even went as far as learning Botox and surgery, cosmetic surgery. Like there's so much there's like the world of nursing is so huge, and even more so now. I got to experience the ones that I've wanted. And then I had a flare up in my health. And I knew I was still going against my true gift and my true calling. So in one of the surgery centers that I was working at, it was super high stress. And then I had a flare up with IBS, and I started to feel like really faint, and all the things, when you are neglecting any of your physical health, the symptoms will still build and will come. So it creates all this tension to the point that you're finally, enough is enough. So I got sick. I ended up getting, aside from the IBS flaring up, I ended up getting shingles, which is chicken pox in your adult life. So if you could see the pattern of illness that I'm creating for myself, and you may be going through this, even going doctor to doctor, it wasn't really helping, because the root cause of my illness was going against my calling, which I had already heard years earlier on. I just played it off. So after experiencing what I experienced at the hospital setting, and now the clinic setting, right? Because it's outpatient, it's not like long hours. It's a different beast, though, because it's just different, and it's not any easier, it's not any better, it's just different. And when I was sick and I had to take a leave, I said, I think I prayed for it too, and I said, there has to be a position out there for nurses doing wellness. Sure enough, I go through the job search, and right before I was just getting better, I think I had 2 weeks left on my leave, I land a position and they created the position. It didn't even exist. I worked for an aerospace company who was focused on employee health and wellness, because that's part of their wellness program, and they needed a nurse. So it was one of the best decisions I've ever made, and I got to see the other side of nursing. The one thing I did miss, if you're a very hustle and bustle person, that's not the position for you, because anybody who's super sick, we have to send them out because we're not equipped to take care of that type of level of sickness and care. But I had so much fun. I learned, this is a key thing that I'm so grateful for the knowledge for. I learned the ins and outs behind returning to work and leaves of absences, as well as through workers' comp. And it allowed me to understand the language when you want to file for those types of leaves, because most of the time, if you're not granted your leaves, it's because you didn't write it properly. The language and the way you were asking for it is not proper. So man, that was so fun, because then I got to help family members who was going through a particular diagnosis, and they needed, this particular, paperwork for this and that. Like, they were overwhelmed because they're not going to walk you through it. They should, but not everybody does. If you don't ask, your employee health nurse would be able to walk you through that. And that's not an HR thing. HR knows a little bit, but they work hand in hand. So I learned to be really resourceful in how to ask for things and how to write things properly when it came to that realm. So then that was such a blessing in disguise too. And on top of that, I ran. Oh my God, it was so fun. I spearheaded a marathon for them, just for like over 300 employees. And it was really short. It was like, because it only could happen during lunchtime and not their days off, because they work like 9 to 5. It's like a regular schedule. And it was so fun. I got to learn how to build better relationships. I got to, because now I was seeking out vendors, I was seeking out sponsors. It was like such a dream come true. And I was like, oh my gosh, I created this for employees. I want to create this for nurses too, like other people. So what ended up happening was the next calling that came from there, because I had a breakdown. I was on a
I have a lot of moments of like self reflection, growth, and like epiphanies.
I did. And that's where it comes
I
from.
love it.
That's what, for me, and that's what happened. Your experience may be different. And oftentimes, epiphanies and awakenings aren't gentle. It's not a gentle rising. Sometimes it's quite
Right.
heartbreaking because it's an old version of
Yeah.
yourself that's breaking through. Breaking through. And I want to say
Oh,
breaking through because, like a butterfly, right? You're not
that's
a
the
part
first
of
thing I thought
yourself.
of was a butterfly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not because you're losing yourself. It's because you're evolving and it's asking you for a higher version of you to be
Mhm.
more whole, even more whole. You're already
Yeah.
whole. And when that happened to me, I was thinking about my Lola, my grandma. That's grandma in Tagalog. And we used to butt heads like big time. Our personalities were like super clashing. And she's probably one of the most spiritual women in my life. And every time she talked about religion, I was just like, whatever. Like, I grew up very Catholic, and it was so like, um, it was so structured, right? It was like, there's mass, you got to go to 9 a.m. mass and you got to wear your best outfit. You can't eat, all these things. And then, I went through all of that. And if you miss, and check this out, my brothers and sisters and I, we were, we were trying to be like super slick and like, let's just pretend like we slept in or this and that. And she got us and she's like, well, guess what? We got mass on TV. Look at the Pope is here. I got to tune in with it because we got cable.
Oh,
It was
no,
hilarious. We were
girl.
looking at each other
He
like,
was
man,
on to you.
like, wow,
And I'm only
Lola's so
laughing
smart.
because I yeah, I laugh just because I'm Filipino. I grew up in a Catholic family, so I know what's up. You know what I mean? Like it's some serious things. Like you got to pray and everything.
Yeah. So I was taking my daily walks because I was starting to feel like, you know what, this is really fun. I'm glad I got to learn this. What's on my heart, like what's truly on my heart is to serve nurses. That seed was planted in me, I would say probably 2 years prior to this corporate position that I have. So it was already there. And then spirit's like, what are you going to do about it? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's just see. Maybe I need another certification, all the things. and then and then around that time I started to explore meditation and spirituality. And I didn't even know what that meant cuz religion and spirituality are not the same. They're related, not the same. So
Mhm.
when I wasn't a huge person of prayer, I wasn't a huge person of even spirituality. And then on my path, I met really good friends who who were life coaches, who didn't even call themselves life coaches because if you can imagine my life in my career, I was searching and I was like, man, I found it in when I joined the multi-level marketing like companies because they had mentors
Mm.
and I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
So then through them, I
What
saw
what
the
multi-level marketing
models.
companies
Which
did you
companies
did you do?
first? Oh my gosh. I
Yeah, did you do more than one?
I did more than one. When you don't make money in one, you think it's the next one. So that's kind of what happened with me. So I started off with like an internet company and then a few healthcare ones or health and wellness. and
Yeah,
um and some of them actually the last one that I did, or even and beauty too, makeup and beauty. But
yeah.
the last one that I did specifically for weight loss, that actually helped me out because I actually wanted to lose weight and I just started training for marathons. The supplements helped me and the conversations
Mhm.
I had because eating better gave me better performance times and I didn't even know. So it
Yes.
actually benefited me in overall health. So the model works and so does the product. At the end of the day, when it
Yep.
doesn't work, it's because of you. So, so if you
Right?
were to, I just want to put it out there, there is no, the main component when you join any program, when you join any coach, when you join anything that will transform your life, requires the equal, if not greater, amount of output and input on your end. It will always mirror your own tenacity and drive and motivation and inspiration and all the qualities that come with it to get and receive the results you are looking for. Straight up.
Yeah. Yeah. You get what you put in.
Yeah.
And if you put in 20%, you're going to get that back. If you
Mhm.
give 150, you're going to get that back.
Yeah.
Right?
If you treat it as a hobby, it's a hobby. Treat it as a
Mhm.
business, it's a business. Really simple,
Yeah.
profound statements.
Yeah.
But how do we, yeah, I understand
Right there,
how,
right there.
I understand the mindset that comes with it and the retraining. So keep at it. Find one that works for you. Mm-hmm.
So then you had this, all of the things that you've experienced, from nursing to going to the aerospace company to, going through even your family
Yeah.
journey, like, experiencing what you do in your family. Um, you had this awakening to realize that this calling, the seed that was planted 2 years prior, was that you wanted to help nurses.
Yeah.
And so you then leaned into that, right?
Yeah. I think the defining moment, a few of them, was when I started to do meditation. I actually,
Mhm.
in review, I found some really old journals from 2015. I've been journaling for about 7 years. And I saw
Mhm.
like one of the first passages, and I wrote, and the sentence said, "I'm so excited to reach day 2 of 100 of this meditation challenge." And I was like, "Whoa, that was 2015, it's coming full circle, today." And
Wow.
I, through the meditation and the people who are, my mentors at the time. So I wasn't looking for I think I was looking for life coaching. I didn't find a nurse who was a life coach. And so through that, I started to join networking events and women's events. So with
Mhm.
that, I met some women who happened to also parallel the same path. We were walking the same path in terms of wanting to better ourselves and at the same time connect to our spirituality. So that's what I ended
Hmm.
happening. And through that opened me up to even more around my faith, even more around shamanism. I went to retreats. I went to Peru. I went to Bali. So these are layers of the experiences that I went through for myself as part of the journey. So the journey will never end. It just,
Yeah.
it just changes the pathways, right? You just chart your own course and your own map because it's uncertain. And through that, I I found that, man, I think I really want to be a spiritual teacher and teach it to the nurses. At the core, medical qigong is also spirituality. It's a multifaceted and multi-dimensional practice. It's just
Mhm.
it what I found was I was working on all of it. We have, yes, there's a focus. Like for instance, when it found me, and I say Tai Chi and medical qigong found me because it's probably one of the most challenging practices that I've ever experienced in terms of transformation. It's true
Mhm.
alchemy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that day I was crying. I called my parents because remember I was getting back to my Lola. So I had just came from Peru and I was at a church. So I remember this because I was like, I'm gonna check out the churches. There's so much history when you travel around the world, right? When you go to other countries. I sat in the church. I don't think I've ever shared this story. out loud, um, to a broad audience, I should say. So I sat in the church. So when you start doing meditation, in its core, you are connecting to your true self, your spirit, higher self, whatever you want to call it, source, um, life source, spirit, Holy Spirit. It's all the same. And you start to hear a different voice or that soft whisper, because sometimes it's not really loud. So during retreat, just to give you some context, we went to very powerful places around Peru to do prayer, to open up to connecting with Mother Nature. Super powerful. So for 7 days, we did that, or up to 10 days. So as the trip was rounding out, we got a free day. So that's when I went to start visiting, kind of looking, checking around the town. So my friend and I went and to explore. And I got into the church. It was so beautiful. And then I sat on a pew and I was like, I think I just want to pray. I sat down and I literally felt like my Lola next to me. And I started freaking out. I was like, what is this? I feel like I feel her, but I start second guessing myself because I didn't see myself as the person to channel. I didn't see myself as a person to connect to ancestors, things like that.
Yeah.
And or even past, or even loved ones who had passed. So I was like, I'm gonna just roll with it and open up and trust that whatever message she's sending me is a message. Like it's still good to me. So I started understanding that. So I started to cry and I saw her she sits next to me. So my Lola is she's very bold, super fashionable, very wise, and also funny woman. So she sat next to me. She puts her hand on my shoulder, and she goes, why are you crying? She goes,
Oh
your
my
makeup's gonna
gosh.
run. I don't know what she said. It was really funny. And she goes, I think I'll paraphrase, but I believe this is what she said to me. She said, I know you weren't really thrilled about practicing Catholicism, or it felt really strict to you. I know it really was really strict to you. What I wanted you to do, I just wanted you to connect to your spirit.
Wow.
And that was really profound, and it brings me to
That's what it's all
tears
about. Yeah.
because when you think you're like after that next thing and you're not enjoying your life, and you're feeling like everything's so hard.
Mhm.
I want you to understand that it's still for you. That the path of good and the path is bad doesn't even exist. It's life's experience, and it's your experience. It's your
Mhm.
story. And it finally clicked. So that day I cried. I called my mom and dad, and I was like, I don't know why. I'm feeling Lola's presence. I think I called them that day. And when I looked at the date, it happened to be around the time of her death, her anniversary. Because I think at this time she had already passed um maybe over maybe over 6 or 7 years. I believe, I'm not sure. And the first thing, what's interesting is I don't even call my parents often. It just so happens like the first person I'm going to call is my dad. And he started to laugh and he said, Anne, my family calls me Anne. And it's like, it's okay. He started to laugh. He's like, these things happen because you probably needed to, I think you wanted to connect with her or something. Like, you're going to be okay. That's what he said. You're going to be okay. And that's when I knew, like, okay. spirituality is the path, whatever that looks like. I don't know. So that led me to many more awakenings. So after that my next step from there was leaving the profession fully.
Mhm.
I tapped into my retirement fund. I was grateful that I was very diligent about that. And so that carried me through like up to now, even. And so
Mhm.
I, since I didn't have a super backup plan in terms of building my business as well as working a 9 to 5, we call ourselves parallelpreneurs. There's nothing wrong with that. You could do both. And for me,
Mhm.
I think I was losing focus and I was feeling overwhelmed. So, what I felt right for me was I'm going to just go all in. So, 2018, I did. I went on a hike. Nature has so much wisdom. I went on a hike with a girlfriend and I was in Zion. Yeah, I was in Zion. And we hiked down the Narrows. And I love water. I love water. And it gave me like so much wisdom. And I also had a phone call with a girlfriend who's a life coach too. And she asked me a really powerful question. And she says, what if you gave yourself 1 year full time? Because that was the wisdom that came through me. She was just repeating it. What if you gave yourself 1 year to go all in? Who would you become? And and you gave yourself this chance. And I did. So 1 year turned into 3. So it was really rough. I'm not saying that it is easy. It tested my mindset around money, around wealth consciousness, around my worthiness, around enoughness, around limiting beliefs. That's a big one. I know everyone listening into your podcast is all about that and breaking through them and
Mhm.
realizing that at the end of the day, you're still okay. And that if you're here and you're breathing, you still matter. And
Yeah.
aligning to your values will get you through everything. Your values, not other
Wow.
people's, your own. So having
Mhm.
clarity around
Wow.
that made it an easier decision to make because I got to really see what I was made of. Because I'm my own boss
Mm.
now. I don't have to clock in and out. I
What
create that.
yeah. What has changed for you over the last 3 years since you decided to become your own boss?
I would say my greatest transformation is recognizing my power and that I have power. Yeah. Because I saw that I can monetize my gift. I can actually make money from doing what I love to do and what I'm called to do, which is at my
Yeah.
core, it's still nursing. I'm just nursing other people and nurturing nurses. And
You're
really,
nursing the nurses who need it the most, you know?
yeah.
So, okay, what did it look like? So you had this decision,
Hmm.
and that was awesome, the conversation you had with your friend, because you basically had somebody almost continue to give you that encouragement of what would happen if you gave yourself this year.
Hmm.
What did it look like when you had your first client? What
Oh,
did you do for that person? Like, what was that experience like?
oh my goodness. You know, look, everybody, I'm sure you even with your first clients, I was excited. And I think I overwhelmed my first client because I think as teachers, we want to just give it all and be like, read all these books,
Yes.
take these, here's 100 steps. here's, and so I I gave it all, and the what I you know what? It was a really beautiful experience. I learned so much even in the one client, because that gave me a gauge of seeing how I charge for my worth, as well as the value that I was
Mhm.
giving. And I was like, man, I charged 6 sessions for $600 plus at the time. Plus, I also was available. Like, I was available via email. You could text me. I also taught meditation. I incorporated everything that I learned that was, a spiritual aspect. And also,
Mhm.
and at the time, depends on the focus. The focus for her at the time was relationships. So
Yeah.
I learned also my skill set around how I coach, as well as the um, the feeling behind, oh my gosh, I got I got paid to do this, and I'm transforming somebody's life. That was the best feeling. I
Yes.
think the best feeling that what I'm recognizing now, and what keeps me going, is knowing that I touched somebody's life for the better because of my words, because of my presence, because of my message, and having
Mhm.
and unlocking that light for them to end whatever they're suffering from. That's the true gift.
Yeah. So there might be, I'm pretty confident actually, because the world of nursing is growing just rapidly. Even aside from the pandemic, I mean, the statistics continue to show that. I have, friends and family members that continue to graduate from nursing school and are, getting into the field. There could be somebody who's in this profession who, for the very first time, is saying, medical qigong, like I can have that in my life and I can actually have somebody help me work on my wellness. This might be like a discovery for them, like right now today listening to this podcast episode, like this is a thing.
Yeah.
So, what would you tell that nurse that's listening that is just discovering that this is actually a thing, and maybe they are burnt out, or maybe they are getting started and realizing and asking themselves the question, like, can I do this for the long haul? Like, it's fun at first, but like, can I do this for 5 years and 10 years and 15 years? Like, what would you tell that person about what you do that could help them?
I would say I would say to start by recognizing and acknowledging your emotions and your feelings. Because at the end of the day, if you're not doing any meditation, which is what I primarily teach, the Qigong, the
Mm-hmm.
movement of the energy within you, and with the alchemy that comes with it, which is the transformation, right? Because energy is neither built or destroyed, it's just transmuted or changed. If you don't know how to do that,
Mm-hmm.
the tensions that you receive and built within yourself can show up as dis-ease in your body and in your mind and also in your spirit. So I encourage everybody. I know it's the hardest thing to do, and I know it sounds like you don't got time. Do the meditation. See, when you resist it, look at your face. Look, Coach Des, I
I know.
see your face. You're
But
like,
that's the biggest thing. It is. Yes, girl,
it will
because here's the
grow.
thing, and I'll just I'll keep it so 100 with you. It wasn't until I got to exactly the point that you're describing,
Mhm.
of just like, cuz I've been in healthcare too. I've been in this healthcare space for almost 17 years.
Mhm.
And regardless of what you do, I don't care what, if you are a nurse, a doctor, someone like me that's a consultant, healthcare is hard. There's moments of beauty, there's moments of joy, there is so much learning, and that's why many of us do it for the long haul, but it's not easy. And it wasn't until the moment that it got really, really not easy that I gave in to trying new things like meditation. Because in my mind, I was like, yeah, that's just that just doesn't who does that? Like, why are you gonna sit and take time to breathe and
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
talk to yourself and like what for? And so, but it's like you get to a point when whatever you're doing isn't working. So the only choice you have is to do something else that could work better. And that was
Yeah.
kind of like where I went. And then I realized today I couldn't live without having moments of meditation, to get back centered, to recognize exactly what you said, what's happening within me, my own feelings, my thoughts, my pains, like my body, what do I need? And recognizing that, because I just thought I was invincible. I didn't think sleep and all these kinds of things. But today I know like when I need more sleep. I know when I really need to exercise, and I know when I need to take a break. It's just different because when you start to connect with yourself, you recognize what you need more of. But I think it's easy to resist because we just assume that we're invincible, especially when you're younger.
Yeah.
Like when you start getting past like 30, for anybody who's listening and is like, no, it's just everything's gonna always just feel so effortless. It doesn't. Okay. Let me just tell you. Things start changing. And so you do have to invite in, like Anita was talking about, some other techniques, or you're going to start, falling apart.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right?
Self-awareness is key.
So,
Take those steps.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it is, it's huge. So, what would be one of the ways that if somebody wanted to explore, qigong further, are there resources that you found personally that somebody can start to do some research for themselves on, you know more meditation and just how to get centered with themselves?
Centered and back to bring their sanity back. Yeah,
Yes,
so I
they're like,
actually
tell me what the resources are, where can I go?
you can definitely you can always, connect with me on Instagram. My handle is at Nurses Rise. I'm also, I think the best way is truly so you can get it in your inbox and directly, learn would be to get on my newsletter. So go to www.nacionvita.com and subscribe. That way you get to see all of the, the literature and the studies because they are backed by medical journals. I come from
Mhm.
both backgrounds where I can speak from the place of Western medicine and now Eastern. So I'm grateful to see that it's being more accepted and not so woo woo to practice
Hmm.
meditation, to practice Tai Chi, to practice Qigong, to hear even more in depth. I do represent my school, the Way of Chi LLC. You could check that out. I'm sure Coach Des the will have those in the show notes, and you can speak even directly
Yeah.
to my master teacher and my Sifu for all the things on that deep wisdom because he's been practicing for over 30 years. And so,
Wow.
Qigong is so powerful. Those are the basic steps. At the highest level,
Mhm.
I've been able to heal myself. So, self healing, even some instant healing, my clients have experienced. I've helped them with insomnia. I help myself with insomnia. I've got off, addiction to pills because most healthcare professionals, we want caffeine to stay up, we want sleeping pills to go to sleep, we want all the things to keep us tip top in the work that we
So
do,
true.
like pop a pill, pop an
You are not
antibiotic when you're
telling a lie
ill,
right now.
go see your doctor. It's like, what do we say? And if you're in the profession, you know what to say to your doctors, you're familiar with the language. So you know you're not walking out there without a prescription because of your copay, right? So, I mean, I can get into more in depth about the behind the scenes of that. And it's just, you know, it's so important for you to find out what feels good to you and exploring this path
Mhm.
to healing, especially, and taking back your power to be self reliant again is possible.
Yeah.
Even I sleep well now. I'm not having insomnia. I don't have to take NyQuil or Benadryl or anything like that. I used to do all of that. And now through just meditation alone, I've knocked out pain. I don't take pain pills anymore. I don't take ibuprofen. I don't take anything. And it's been in this particular aspect of myself that I've practiced, it's been over a year since I've been super like pill free. And so I
Mhm.
invite anybody who is just sick and tired of going doctor to doctor, nothing works. My doctor doesn't understand me. I could have looked that up in the internet. She could have emailed me, those protocols. We don't, because of COVID and everything, you're not even seeing your physicians face to face. Who's to say they're even practicing what
Right.
they're telling you to do? You can tell from a person's
Yeah.
how they look, like if they're even taking care of themselves, and you're going to take advice from that person. Be very diligent in who
That's
you seek
true.
counsel from, and you know build that inner authority within yourself. If it doesn't feel right and it doesn't feel good, it's probably not for you. And be
Yeah.
discerning of that intuition, like build that intuition. And I think my favorite part of the practice of practicing medical qigong, and it's medical because now we're working towards eliminating disease,
Yes.
like straight up
That is huge. I
eliminating
mean,
disease on
that
your
is
own
crazy.
accord. You
Yes.
can do it.
That
I've
blows
done it for
it
my
blows my
clients.
mind. It blows my mind because we are quick to go to Google and find any magic pill out
Mhm.
there that will help us do anything faster, get rid of
Yep.
my headaches, my back hurts,
Yep.
like, oh, I have stomach aches, like all the things that we're just like, if I just take this one thing or two things, it's going to be
Hmm.
fine. I'll get better. But there isn't a propensity for what can I just do naturally to
Yes.
feel more energy, to have more
Mhm.
clarity, to
Yes.
not have this haze, this mental haze walking around in a fog.
Yeah.
So it's a lot. I think what you're doing is a space that's as more untapped than what it could be. Like I think like 10 years from now, if we had a conversation, it would be different. Like
Hmm.
more people will
Yeah.
understand. But today I don't think we're in an environment where everybody's like, oh, we all, don't take medicine. I mean, we're in
Hmm.
an opioid crisis, for heaven's
Yeah.
sake. Like,
Yeah.
come on, let's be real.
Yeah.
This is serious. We have like
It is.
administration from our presidency, like multiple presidencies around what do we do about the drug crisis in the different forms it's taken, whether it was like, cocaine and
Yep.
different things to now, these different versions of opioids. So we're in that's a pandemic by itself
Yeah.
outside of COVID. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
So yeah, what you do is really powerful. But I do want to make sure that I ask you a couple of questions because I always like to set aside some time to kind of get to know, you better.
Yeah.
And now that people know that, how they can reach you to learn more about qigong, because I'm sure everyone is very fascinated now and is like, I don't want to take pills anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so the first question that I have, it being, still the beginning of the year, and we're all leaning into, like you said, we're always, evolving to the next best version of ourselves. If you had to pick a word for 2022 that would, help you to continue becoming that next version of yourself, like what word of intention would you pick?
This is so fascinating that you asked me about a word because I do live by a theme word every year. And last year was relaxed.
I
That
love
was an
that word.
interesting year, relaxed. And I always build a relationship with the word that I choose. So, what has come forth for me this year? It's really interesting. I was torn between two, and I'm sticking to it. And the word that came for me is sovereignty.
That is so powerful.
Yeah,
Wow.
sovereignty.
Sovereignty.
Mm-hmm.
That's like that is such a rich word, you know? That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that word. I love that word. Okay. What is something that is on your bucket list?
Bucket list.
Hmm.
I have so much. Are you ready for this? Something really, really big. I've shared this vision before, but I'm going to say it again because it's so big that I love it.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I, two things. I have two things. I would really love to own my own hospital and have all the goodies and all the modalities that we all teach, Eastern and Western, and have it be fully funded 100% by women.
Oh my gosh.
So
That
women in
is
health, like to really
brilliant.
empower and to, because it will teach empowering women to help one another and invest in each other's dreams, and also for the greater good of all mankind. We will teach the Qigong, we will teach meditation. That's going to be part of your healthcare and your,
I want to
your
go to that
plan
hospital.
and your,
I want that.
see,
I
wait
want to
listed.
be there.
And,
Boom.
and
I'm getting in
we would
early.
take care
Yeah.
of our staff. Can you imagine? Lunches will be provided, breaks. You come into work for 4 hours, do the work that you do, but get paid for 12. Can you imagine that? That is my freaking dream. Like, that is a vision that I have for everyone. Because guess what? Guess who's going to be the receiving end of that? The patients. If your nurse was like, can you imagine all your staff just fully taken care of to the highest level?
That would be the
There
best.
will be
That would
no
be
illness. There will be no illness. That's what's about to happen.
what? That is
Isn't that
so next
like,
level,
isn't that
Anita.
awesome?
Yeah, like I can't even like my brain is still trying to process. It's like
That
going to
is my
utopia or
grand
something.
vision.
You know? It's like Atlantis or just something that is like, wait, what?
Yep, I went there.
Wow.
I went there.
That's
That is a
yeah,
bucket list. I'm gonna live a long
yeah,
time to see that through, and I'm gonna call you, Des, because
yeah.
we're gonna make it happen. So
Girl,
there's no question.
I'm about to have
I'm gonna
lunch
stay
with
with that book.
you.
That bucket list is a
Yeah,
good one. I don't have to share the other one. That one's a good one.
yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, so because you mentioned it from before,
Yeah.
like we all have had self-limiting beliefs. So what's one that you've had to overcome?
Ooh, the biggest one is I'm I'm not worthy to charge what I charge because of the value that I bring. So now I charge my worth.
Do you know how many well, first of all, how many people are listening that have probably felt that, but in particular, how many women feel that?
All of you.
I feel like no matter how many years go by
Mhm.
where you are even more knowledgeable and passionate and confident about what you do, it is still like I still think about that too. I'm like, "Oh," you know?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's something that we have to face and it's something that we have to get comfortable with. Okay, what would you say is one of your superpowers?
I'm a super connector.
Oh,
Straight up. Like, I literally, when you say, Anita, I'm thinking about dot 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 dot. Immediately I know who to connect you, how to connect with them, it's a computer in my brain. I am just
yeah.
a web of connection. And that is definitely something that I love to do. And I do it naturally and effortlessly. So I'm like,
everybody wants a friend like you that they can call up and be like, I don't even know where to go with this. And you'd be
Mhm.
like, boom, I
Yeah.
know a person.
Yeah. If you're looking for a person,
Yeah.
I'm your person. I can do that for you. I can,
Brilliant.
yeah. That is so easy.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's easy. It's like, oh yeah, just do this and that, connect to that person, this person. I'll send an email or how do you want to connect? It's just, it's what I love. And I'm a very person to person, I love building relationships. I believe the successes in your life comes from building and connecting and helping others. So I'm grateful for that superpower. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing.
Mhm,
Okay,
mhm.
if you had to give one last piece of advice to anybody listening, what would you say?
Invest in yourself. It is the greatest ROI or return on investment, even when it's scary. In fact, you should do it when you're afraid. That's the best time to do it. That's the best time to do it. That's the best
Ooh,
breakthrough I will ever
girl.
experience. Everybody, you will know when you listen to this and you do it, you will experience that breakthrough that you've been looking for or asking for because you said yes. I don't
That's
care
real.
whatever that looks like for you. An
Yeah.
investment that could be in your mindset, in your health. That could be anything. And you know
Mhm.
it's been nagging you, so don't even play.
Don't even
Don't
girl,
even
don't
play.
even or
You already
girl
know
or
who you want to
boy,
invest in this year.
don't even
You
play.
you know what you want to work on about yourself.
It's
You
true.
don't need 3 more coaching calls.
Yeah, but you know what? Imma add to that just because I think what
To
you said is
convince
so
yourself.
it is. It's so freaking real what you just said is that for the moment that is very scary the first time you do something, whether it's paying a coach or whether it's going to a program,
Mhm.
or going to a retreat, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get on an airplane, I'm going to go be around these people I don't know, they're all strangers, I'm alone, this is crazy, what am I doing? Whether it's like books, maybe it's
Yeah.
not even that big, but maybe it is like your first development book that you open from somebody that you think has something good to say, is once you make that investment and you see the dividends being paid and that ROI, you will realize
Mhm.
that you will keep doing it because you are your number one asset.
Yep.
And if you keep on paying into it, you're going to keep getting the best output. So that certified, tried and true, I
Mhm.
totally agree with you. So real. Okay, so remind us again, what's the best place to connect with you? So if anybody wants to reach out, they can do that.
The best way to connect with me is to join my newsletter, join my tribe. I won't spam you. I hate spam.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
really, I have so much going on in person events again, even online, and I have a few launches coming up. So once you are on, a part of my community, you get to hear all the things first thing. So that will be on my website at www.nacionvita.com. Make sure you opt in and I'll share all the goodies. Yeah.
Yay. And
Let's heal
it's going to be in
everybody,
the show
one
notes.
nurse at a time. One nurse at
Yes,
a
that's
time.
right. Telling you, it's the community of nurses is growing by the day. So an hour rather probably at this point. But I'm so grateful. Thank you, for spending so much time with me today to share your story. Well, like really your story. Because it's one of those things where I think sometimes like we think that success is linear and it looks a certain type of way and there's it's really like as you described, when you have those moments where you kind of feel like you're in the darkness but you're going towards a brighter place, it feels confusing, or you feel, maybe you're a little lost and you need to go to a place where you can get more clarity. It's life is messy. It's just messy, but it's beautiful at the
Yeah.
same time. It's in the
Mhm.
mess,
Mhm.
that we find our best. So I just want to, acknowledge that of your story. And I just appreciate you so much and your time today. It's been amazing.
You're most welcome. I had so much fun with you, Des. Thank you so, so much for having me. It's an honor.
And now, knowing now that you're just like right there in LA, that's not far from Vegas, then, it'll be easy for us to be able to connect even more.
Yay!
So
I would love
love
that. I would love that.
Yay. Thank you, Anita.
You're most welcome, girl. Yeah, raise a roof. Okay.
Hey. That was such a fascinating interview with Anita Vita, my very first Medical Qigong Practitioner guest. So, if you're wondering, you're listening going, I don't even know how to Google that. Let me spell it for you. So, Qigong is Qigong. Okay, now you can Google it and get even more information, but really that spiritual practice of taking meditation, and she does Tai Chi, and just, it's really amazing that no matter how long I've been in this space of self-development doing this, that I learn something new every day. That is one of the most beautiful gifts of having this show and doing this podcast, because there is never a time when I run out of the opportunity to just learn and grow. And I hope that you learn something new too. And, what I love about my conversation with Anita is just the reminder that we really are in control of our destiny. I love that she talked about reading that book about, no titles. I think it's so easy for us to get attached to saying, your identity is a nurse or a consultant or a banker or whatever that may be. And it's a beautiful part of who we are. It makes us more enriched and empowered and intelligent in different ways. But we were talking after the interview. We are people. First and foremost, we are complex, dynamic individuals who are capable of doing anything. So just as easily as somebody can be a doctor today, they could turn around and decide that they want to be a lawyer tomorrow, or a chef. So, don't ever box yourself in. If you have those moments like Anita had at different points where something is calling to you, don't feel like just because you've done a certain thing for so long, it doesn't mean that you cannot pivot. It doesn't mean that you can't do it as a side hustle. It can't mean that you can't explore something else. Give yourself the permission to continue learning and growing, even in the discomfort. That is one of the most powerful things that she talked about, was investing in yourself. And I hope if there's anything that you take away from this episode, is that you will do that now or continue doing it. You won't regret it. You are so worth it. Remember how worth it you are. Invest in yourself. Okay, I'm going to keep this short. And I hope you got a lot out of this. We're at the closing of January. So the last thing that I'll say is take this time to reflect on what you've accomplished this month. Do not move on to the month of February without celebrating your wins and your accomplishments this month. Do start a pattern of celebrating your wins and successes before you just move on to the next thing and set your goals for the next month. Do me that favor and develop that habit. Thank you for being here. Remember that you're your only limit, so take action today. Tune in again for another inspiring episode, because we do this twice a week. I'm so passionate about bringing you guests that will help to change your life and remind you that you are born unbreakable. Subscribe. Do me the favor of sharing this with anybody who could use the inspiration. It means so much to me to grow the audience, grow the show, grow the inspiration, because that is what we're here to do. Thank you so much. See you next time.